Wonderful.
All right, everybody. Really, really excited today. It is early my time. It is really late, our guests' time. So we are really excited that anybody who's tuning in, we really appreciate you being here. And we're really, really excited because we have our newest mentor, Jyotsana, is joining us today, all the way from Australia. And she is a huge leader in the tech industry. And we're going to really be talking about that today because a lot of us are in the tech industries and we're building, we're trying to grow, we're trying to scale, but it is a difficult market as we all are experiencing because we're dealing with things like conglomerates like Facebook and LinkedIn and even just like HubSpot and all those other amazing tech companies that do great work, but you have a purpose and you have a reason as why you're creating the software and the tech that you're creating. So I have one of the best experts who's going to be coming in and talking about how you can be a leader, not only for your team, for your company, but how you can also grow to be a leader in the industry. So without further ado on Entrennial Talks, let me introduce Jyotsana all the way from Sydney, Australia. Jyotsana, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Anastasia, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Oh my gosh. So please tell us just, I know my introduction was just a little brief overview about who and how awesome you are, but tell us a little bit about you and where you're at, what time it is, and also what you do within the software world.
Absolutely. So first up, I am not so awesome. I'm just trying to be awesome day by day. Yeah, and I wish to get there. So yeah, I'm Jyotsana, living in Sydney, Australia currently, and I travel a lot in business. My brainchild is WebZap Technologies, something I started when I was 20 years old. 8 years later into the business, we're in 3 countries. We've got offices in 3 countries, clients in over 13 countries. And yeah, by the grace of God and our hard work, rapidly growing. So WebZap is, I just like to refer to it as a technology solutions provider because we mostly do custom software solutions for medium to small size businesses. So, with that introduction comes the label or the fear of being labeled as generic. But I think that it also brings I think it brings just a huge, tremendous amount of possibilities for us and what we can do as a tech solutions provider. Because I think that, you already said that the tech space is hugely competitive. And for a company like us, we was doing pretty much everything, right from websites to AR and VR based complex softwares and AI based solutions. I think that, that opens a wide range of possibilities in terms of what we can do for clients and the size of the solutions that we deliver. So yeah, that's what WebZap is all about.
Yeah, and you've really taken this pretty far. Like you said, you have 3 offices all
Yeah,
around the world, and you're
yeah.
working with all sorts of different companies. And the coolest part about a lot of this is, I did some snooping on the internet too, right? So, I mean, we had a great conversation. You've come on board as a mentor to our Entrennials in our exclusive community to help them scale their businesses. But when I was doing more snooping, I found a few different things that I wasn't quite like fully aware of. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome. So recently, you have won a few awards. Please tell us, what are the couple awards that you won in the last 3 years?
So that was two of those were the Stevie Awards. They were in New York in 2016, the November of 2016. Very, very close to my heart because I was nominated, I'd say, with and against companies like Accenture and BMC, just huge names that when I was in college, doing my software engineering, I wanted to work for those companies. And,
Mm.
to be butted against them to get an award was I was all teary eyed, as a small entrepreneur running a small company, from a small part of the world. It meant a lot. And I got two awards. I was awarded the Female Executive of the Year in Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. And I got the Innovator of the Year award. And that was something that was very close to my heart because I was chosen for the award because of the way we intelligently handle our customers remotely. We're not present in all the client locations that we handle, but we still, our support is so awesome that that got us to the award. The way we automate our our client dealings and how customer happiness is at the core of our business is a great innovation in itself. And yeah, that's what I was awarded for.
That's awesome. And so I think that's a great segue into something that's pretty passionate for you from what I was, reading and when we're chatting is really how you treat your customers and how you really put them to a certain standard of giving them the right amount of service and beyond. And so you are working remotely, and a lot of us are working remotely now in this awesome 2018. And so what are some ways that you find is best to work or communicate with your customers when you're working in a remote company for a service to them?
I think that, the first step in doing that is establishing trust. Because it's very, very hard to get people to trust you when they're sitting in a completely different corner of the world. And
Mm,
for as long as I care as a customer, someone could run away with my hard earned money. And the other thing is that, so trust is very important. Also, not just because money is involved, but also because when you're building a tech solution for someone, you have access to some really sensitive information about them. So the first thing is to establish trust, and we do that with very stringent contracts. So,
mm,
even if it feels like it's too strict on us as a business, we do that as an extra step for our customers who are, who we may not always meet in person. So that's one thing. Establishing trust is very important because I think that it's a good thing that freelancing is taking over, but you also have a lot of bad rotten apples, and if I may say, right? So customers have a hard time trusting people when they cannot meet them in person. So I think that's
mm,
that's one step, and I think that's the most important one for the variety of reasons that I stated. And then regular communication is also important. So you have to keep a tab on time zones. It gets a little crazy. And sometimes what happens is that with small businesses, especially, when I was in business, like when I just started off, let's say just 5 years ago, 3 years into the business, so I was the one, or, my partner was the one directly dealing with customers. And with small businesses, they give you a face value, and they wouldn't
mm.
really want to change their point of contact throughout the project. And then when you're doing it with 10 different countries, clients in 10 different countries, it tends to get a little crazy for you. So to that, I like to say that, when a lot of people tell me that entrepreneurship is about escaping the 9 to 5, I say that it's far, far miles away from that. It's about
That's
forgetting
true.
the clock on the whole. It's about forgetting what Saturdays and Sundays are. It's about working to towards something that you're really passionate about, and you really don't care about the clock. Because
Mm.
if at all entrepreneurship was a 9 to 5, I think it would be like a part-time job.
You make a lot of good points. Oh my gosh. So I think that's so accurate. I mean, being an entrepreneur is such a big dream. And especially when you're creating a company, you're growing that company, you're becoming an international company. But like what you're saying is that the 9 to 5 really becomes like, well, today for me, it was a 7 to, I think tonight's going to be at a 10. So, it's a long day. So it's like, you don't really get the 9 to 5, you get more of a 7 to 10. But I think you've also brought up some great points with how do we interact with customers, and especially with different time zones, and being able to delegate that time, as well as keeping track of how you're communicating, and kind of like logging it in a sense. But you really said bring the foundation of trust. And just yesterday, I was listening to the book Visibility Marketing by David Avrin. He's one of those big speakers about how you can get noticed and stuff. But what he was saying, he was talking about how helping your customers make a safe decision. So what makes you different from everybody else is to say, well, I feel like that's a safe decision for me to make because it's familiar and it's something I can trust, right? And then following through on it, you have to build on that trust as well. And I think you make some great points, is like, make your contracts available to your customers so they feel like they can trust you more and that they made the right decision. And I think sometimes a lot of customers still don't know if they made the right decision, right? So
There's one more thing, that there's a culture difference across the world. So someone who's sitting in, let's say, China, would be a completely different character from someone who's sitting in the USA or Australia or India. So you really, as a provider, you really have to understand their culture, the way they talk. Sometimes they may come across as rude, but they may not mean to. And understanding their culture is a big part of understanding what they expect from you. Because it may sound surprising, but software changes with, the expectations change with change in demographics. So I take the example of websites, a very simple thing that everyone needs. Everyone who's starting a business is going to need a website. But what a good website looks like, the definition it's so varied across the world. The colors, the layout. And I think the same goes for all tech products, because I think that, it has been my experience that culture has a great role to play in the way we adopt technology and the way we use it.
You make a really good point too, because I was in South Korea for a good while, like a month. And I remember getting on or watching one of the kids, because I was teaching English. And I watched one of the kids get on the computer, and, in America, we use Google. Google is like the thing. And over in Korea, they don't really use Google. They use a different search engine. And just how their websites are put together is so different than anything I have ever experienced in the United States or some other Western cultures. And I was just like, wow, that is so different. So you make a really good point. And, you are an international business. You're working all around the world. You have all offices around the world too. And so I think it's awesome that you really bring in, what are the cultural factors? So what are some things that you have either like outlined or drafted out to identify what's important with that culture, and how can you serve that customer best in that environment?
I think that, this is a tough one, because it really varies project to project, because different people, everyone's different. So every customer that we handle is different, and their expectations are different, their needs are different. And I think that this is something that that requires a high amount of skill to do on the fly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you have to, always be on your feet. You have to think one step ahead of what the customer is thinking. And that, I think, really comes with experience, because everyone sucks at it pretty much at the beginning. I did too, to be honest. But I learned and relearned, a few lessons. Difficult customers teach you a lot of things, and you can put those together. And so there's no rule book as such, but it's something that you get to learn when you're on your way.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, it's kind of hard to put culture into a box and say, this is how we're going to do business with you. It's not really accurate. So let's talk a little bit more. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was just saying that you do get to know some things that you can feed into your mind when you're dealing with someone from a particular culture, which is not very appropriate to say in a public forum. But yeah, you do. You do get.
Awesome. So just like exercise those muscles and kind of, build that relationship. And I think that's really what it's about, right? Build that relationship with that culture, that person in that environment, and you'll kind of figure it out as you go along. Awesome.
I think that as long as you've got what they want and you know how to put it forward in front of them, you're selling it to them.
That's very true. Thank you for that. That's an excellent point. And so let's talk a little bit about expanding your own business, your own practice, because you have just, you were saying that, you've been 5 years and now you have 3 offices around the world and you're doing so much business. You're winning awards. Like, oh my gosh, like the list just goes on, and it's awesome. So tell us, what helped you be able to scale so quickly and be able to service your customers to such an impeccable level to where you're continually growing?
I think that there's only one secret sauce to this, and that is that we started small, but we started very accurate. We knew what we were doing, and we knew that, what we had to do to keep our customers happy. Because really, as a college kid, starting a business is difficult. You have no idea what you're doing. You're just looking for extra income, to be honest, right? You're not looking to revolutionize the way the world works. And that's true for me. It may be different for other people. But as I grew into the business, I just got more and more involved, and expansion just came in as a need, because our customer base kept on growing and we felt like we need to be in places, at least some of the key members of our team need to be in the places where our customers are. So expansion is just something that arises out of need. And expansion came to us in the way of referrals, because as I said, we started small, but we knew that we have our core values intact. So when you do good work for someone, they're they're always open for getting in referrals. And then, we got to, tie up with different agencies who brought in more work for us. So it started like that. And then it just expanded like a never ending balloon, which I hope never bursts.
So I think this is awesome. And I think you just leaked a little bit of it's awesome, but you just kind of leaked a little bit of how old you are, right? Because you're like, I just got out of college, and it's just like, and all of a sudden we're scaling. But you made such a good point. And I think that entrepreneurs, even in the startup world, even in the established world, they kind of need to reevaluate, how are we starting, and are we starting the right way? Because, we get so excited. We can kind of get that shiny object syndrome. We're like, I have this idea. Let's just go full steam ahead with it. But sometimes slowing down in the beginning to speed up towards the end is really important, and building that foundation is so imperative. And so I'm so glad that you did that, because it's obviously working. And you've been able to scale and do so many great things with that. So that's awesome. And
I think when you're eating good food, it's like when you eat at a good restaurant, you would always recommend it to your friends. It's the same with every business. If you serve good food, you will get more customers. So I think, the secret sauce is to serve good food.
Oh, that's a great way to put that. Are you serving good food? I like that. It's a great question to ask yourself. That's awesome. So, let's talk about building that foundation. So what were some of the things that you found building that foundation that made such success? Like, finding clarity in who you are and how you serve your customers is really important. But what are some aspects that maybe we're not quite realizing are pivotal to building that foundation, other than the clarity?
I think, building a great team, I think everyone says it. Building a great team is a very, very big part of what you're doing as an entrepreneur. Because you realize, you obviously, after a point when you get crazy busy and you realize that it's not going to be a 1 or 2 man job, you need a team. The question is, in the very beginning, as a person of limited resources, I like to say, how do you get a strong team? And I think that's where the people management aspect comes in. When me and my partner, we decided to hire people based not on their skills, honestly, but more on the mindset. So we didn't really want someone who's working for a salary, just for a salary, coming in and going out, because initially we had to hire remote employees as well, because we were on a limited budget and we still needed someone to complete some tasks for us. So, and I think that, we've learned a lot of lessons in people management. And that's why I say that it's one of the most important aspects of building a business, because the mindset of your people really flows up to you. Your mindset does flow down to them, but in a way, their mindset flows up to you. And it also translates into the product or service that you're delivering. So I think that, we hired, I like to say that we hired talent and we trained them in skill. And some of our freelance team members from the very beginning, back in the days, are still with us, very happily working. And we're like one close-knit family who knows what we're doing. And that's, I think, my business is not a Silicon Valley startup, but I'm so proud of it because it's like a close-knit family that's slowly growing together.
Yeah. And you bring up a lot of good points there too. So a lot of stuff here, people, when you're watching. And we got a lot of people here on the live. So anyone who's on the Zoom or on the live, if you have any questions for Jyotsana for any of the stuff that we're covering with leadership in tech, growing and scaling your business, building that foundation, please put it in the comments. I will ask her those questions so you can get your answers. So thank you, Jyotsana. This is awesome. And we have a comment here. Raj says, yes, mindset hiring matters so much. So yeah, and that's so true. I think, as we're starting to grow in our businesses, again, it's that excitement to move forward, but it's also that stress of how I manage this business to grow. And so it's kind of like that teetering balance of, okay, I need to bring on help, but can I afford it? And so it's like, how does that work? So what are your tips on when they're kind of at that tipping point of, I need help, but I can't quite get to that point where I can justify paying someone to do it? So what are some tips or some mindset shifts that maybe we need to put into ourselves to move forward and scale?
I think, a business is like a baby. As it starts growing, you start to get scared. It starts to scare you because the rate at which it grows, because you know that you need to expand, but you may not always know how to do it, right? And as you said, you need someone to help you with it, or you need, I'd say, a lot of people to help you with it. And how do you get the budget and the resources in place without overspending, you know? So to be quite honest, there was a point in my business where I was putting in all I had, all I was earning from my clients into my team, and I was making zero profits. And the reason for that was that I realized that if I do not go out and hunt for new clients, this is going to be the case all the time. So even if that meant that I had to give in 100% of my profit as salaries, I would have to do it to convert more of that, more to get more clients and do more as a business. So I think it's I wouldn't really recommend everyone to do that. It's something that worked for me, may not work for everyone, but I'm speaking from personal experience that it is all about investing intelligently. So if you're getting a $10,000 revenue per month, or you're getting 100,000 or $1 million revenue per month, you have to know how to intelligently put it back into the business, because you can't keep doing it all the time. So you need to know where to stop, but you also need to know where to optimize.
Yeah. And I think that's key too, is when you're bringing on help, making sure that they're in the right mindset themselves, whether that's great skill or lack of skill. There's always skill to be trained on, but it's hard to train the mindset. So hiring someone who has the right mindset, the character, the ability to grow is key. And, I think that's something that we don't tend to look towards when we're about ready to feel like, okay, I need to have help. So let me go get somebody who has the best resume for it. And sometimes that's just not how it should go. They are great people. They do great work on that resume. But, like what you're talking about is you really have to have the people that are going to work with you to be that team and then to move forward with them. And so something that I implemented in my own business, so I'm kind of taking some of your advice. This is great. But I just brought on my own brand ambassadors. It's a sales role to bring in more Entrennials into our university. And it's been such an interesting and great experience, but I definitely went towards people who had the right mindset and they wanted to grow in opportunity because they're hungry, they're eager to be part of a movement of something great and grand that will be big. And, but, I could have gone the other route and hired people who have been doing awesome sales their whole lives, right? But then it's like, do I retrain their mindset and how they approach my customers? So it's kind of like, where do you put that dollar amount? Do you put the dollar amount into the mindset, or do you put the dollar amount onto this awesome resume that you're seeing? And so I love how you're kind of wrapping all of this into a package of do what's going to help you grow over the long term, even if you have to sacrifice your own salary for a while. But in the end, it's going to pay off so much more. Obviously, that worked for you. So something to keep in mind, guys. Yeah, it's awesome. So kind of touch a little bit. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying you got to know what you're doing. Just whatever you do it. It has to be a smart decision. And if you make a mistake, you can always step back and redo it. That's what I feel.
Yeah, and that's true too. We can make mistakes.
Yeah, but that's how you learn.
Absolutely. So what would you feel like is your biggest lesson that you've had when it comes to bringing extra help to help your business scale and grow?
Just like my customers, I think some of the people that I worked with in a team have given me the greatest lessons in life by doing good and bad work. As I said, when people are working for you remotely, there's no stringent office timelines. There's no desk. There's no way you can see how they're doing. You just like your clients trust you, you got to trust your people. And in the very beginning, it was difficult because as an owner, you have to do a lot of things, right? And you can't really micromanage. And I wouldn't say I hired all the right people at the very onset of my business. So just like my clients, my people gave me a lot of lessons. Some of them ran off, some of them projects in the middle. But then I was blessed to have some gems who stayed throughout and were still there. So no matter how big a team I have in the future, I think that these people who stuck on with me when I was nothing would always be a part of WebZap. Always.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to go through the bad times with your team too, right?
Yeah,
Because it
that's
really
part of
shows. Yeah, because it shows not only how are we going to struggle and work together to make this work, but also, it brings people together too.
true.
Is because you can even look, compare a lot of militaries out there, people who have gone through some sort of traumatic experience or event, and those who had experienced that with them, they are bonded in a certain way. And so, sometimes going through the crap together is actually going to help you in the end. I mean, it sucks when you're in it, but when you get to the other side, it's like we overcame the challenge, we can move on together, and you trust each other more. And I think that you make a really good point, is this balance between trusting your customer and your customer trusting you, and vice versa, and having that with your team, and your team having this sharing trusted relationship. So talk about, if you could, please talk about more of how you build more trust with your independent contractors as well as your employees. How do you facilitate and incubate more trust in your company?
I think it's kind of the same process as with a client, but not in terms of stringent contracts. But as I said, some things flow down from you to the team, and it's a reverse process as well. So some things flow up from them to you. So when you're willing to teach them, don't direct them. Give them what you want, and always learn from what they have to offer. So it's all about giving them the flexibility to share their ideas with you, and if they have a problem they could come to you. And I've learned this when I started working with my husband. He is an amazing team manager. The way he flows, his feelings flow down to the people, is really an integral part of how WebZap works as a company. And I think we are close in family because of the way we not only understand professional problems, and I think that one part of why we understand each other's professional problems, and my team always has a flexibility of waking up at 4 a.m. for them and working for me if I need them to. And they've done that for me a lot of times. But I think that it has come from the very fact that we also care about what they're going through personally. So, we're not a very large organization, so we don't really have very formally listed down employee welfare schemes or wellness schemes. But I think it's something that we always tend to give a personal touch to each and every person who's working with us, asking them how their day was, and just making sure that they are happy. And if they're not, if they need a break at all times, they can, and the work still goes on.
Right. I think that's a good point too. The world continues to spin, whether it's good or a bad day. And I think that's awesome. Is not only being the leader of your company and saying, this is the direction we're going, team. Let's work together to get to this point. But you're also silent in the fact that you're listening to your team and to what they're saying to you, because whether it's you, microphone's coming up, whether it's you or your team that is speaking to your customers, I mean, as an what am I trying to say? As an entrepreneur, you have a certain perspective of what's going on in the company and what's going on with customers and your team. But sometimes you got to get that different perspective from your teammates who are hearing something different from customers, per se, or hearing something different from what the system is actually doing. And being able to listen and then to move forward with leadership is really important to build team trust, as you've established, but also to kind of create more momentum in your company as well. So I'm just like super impressed. I know all of our audience here is like really impressed too. It's such an inspiration for all this.
Oh, come on, Anastasia. I'm just gonna melt down.
And she's so humble too. Look at this. That's awesome.
Not so great. I'm just trying to be awesome day by day, and I just hope someday I become as awesome as you think I am.
So tell us, Jyotsana, like, what do you feel like is kind of your drive to move your business forward and scale, but also with your team? What kind of drives you to help them be successful?
I think it's just interesting. As I said, I really did have big dreams when I started this, right? I just wanted to be some freelancer in some corner of the world. But it turned out to be so big for me only because I never ran out of interest in my business. And that is the only drive that that keeps me going. I never get bored of being or of running my company. Let's say if I was running a shoe store, I may not have been so interested all through these years because I'm not interested in shoes. I'm interested in software and tech. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
that's one thing that entrepreneurship is not something, as I said earlier, you take because you hate your boss and you want to quit your job. You do it because the
Right.
basic of starting a business is stayed the same through all the ages. We may give it a swanky name, we may name it a startup, a unicorn, depending on what it's earning. I think that the basic of starting a business and running a business is that you have a product or service that you think that people would pay for, and you know how to put it in front of people so they would pay for it. So whether it's chocolates or shoes or bags or software, I think that as long as you know what you're doing and you're interested in it, and you know that this is something that you can do for a lifetime, it just keeps you going. There's no secret recipe to just be encouraged. And I think that just like people say that they like food, so no one can stop them from eating what they like. People like to sleep, and they sleep for as long as they can. I think it's the same with running, or like an interest. And when you really do something from the heart, I think that you do it the best.
Yeah, lots of good mic drops right there. So we do have one question from Raj Misa. He asks if he is going to sell WebZap Technology services in Hyderabad in India. I can never say that right. I'm sorry. Hyderabad in India. What should he do? So how can we spread the word about what you do, and how do you organically spread your word about WebZap?
So as I said, we started doing it when a lot of referrals came in our way. Now, today, we have a lot of partners who are expanding the business literally for us. So we have tie-ups with agencies in the USA, in the UK, within Australia, that are really selling services on our behalf. So we partner up with them, and yeah, that's how the business keeps going. And we're always looking to expand, so always looking for partners who can take our business forward. And we always look for synergies on how we can tie their business to ours. So if they have an offering that we can couple with ours, that's the best kind of business to do, because they have to have personal interest in it too. So yeah, I hope that answers my question.
Awesome. And if anybody has any more questions, more than welcome to put them into the comments. We'll get Jyotsana to answer them like that. So thank you. Really appreciate that. So, you bring up a lot of good points as well as to how you grow and build your business. And I think we've kind of skirted around it a little bit, but you talked about building trust and establishing trust with your customers, which helps them refer you. But what we're really talking about, and if you wanted to boil it down to a marketing term, is relationship marketing, right? So you have really built these relationships with people to where they feel like they can trust the referral. So it's like, I'm not going to refer to my friend a crappy product, right? And so it's like the same thing with a business. So what are some ways that you have, or what are some terms that you've heard from your customers when they do refer you? What are the key phrases or the keywords that they say about WebZap?
I think that the one that's really close to my heart, because that was like one of my key clients that I handled myself, was a woman named, okay, I'm not going to take the name, but she was a really nice woman. And she referred someone to me a year after she had taken my services. And we had grown a lot. So, I'd really grown into handling a lot of clients. So I didn't really remember who she was because we did a really small project for her. And the guy who she referred came back to me and said to me in an email that she told me that I should work with you because you really care about the people you work with. And that one statement in the email really touched my heart. And I felt like, I always had the feeling that, everyone wants to change the world, and I want to do it through education. That's my mission. But I always feel that I'm not able to do it through WebZap. That email made me realize that I may not be able to change the world, but I'm making a difference to someone else through my products and services, and the way I treat people, which is at the core of my personal value system. So yeah, that was great and it was awesome.
You're like, yes, awesome. Because, that really establishes the brand that you've created, right? So, a lot of people think brand is just logos and colors, right? But it's actually the conversation that happens outside of your company. How do people talk about you to others? And to say that this one client said that you just really care and take care of people, that is really key, because not only is that transferring that conversation of trust, but that transfer the conversation of how your company creates an impact on the world. And at Entrennial University, all of our clients and all of our Entrennials are all about creating impact on the world. And I think that it's really cool that you're talking about, this is a software company, but I feel like I'm creating such impact on the world. And that's such a wonderful feeling. So, kind of like getting towards the end of our conversation here, what's some new things that's happening with WebZap and yourself? Like, what should we be hearing about or tuning into?
We are doing a host of things at the moment. So just, technology evolves every day. So we have to be on our feet every day so that we don't get redundant. So we're working with a lot of AR and VR companies, and we're doing software in augmented and virtual reality with our partners. We're doing AI-based solutions. So all the cool tech that's happening, and cryptocurrency doesn't really interest us as a company. It's great, but it doesn't. But we're really interested in blockchain. So we're looking for ways to leverage blockchain into a social system. So yeah, that's there's a lot happening, and yeah, just not too much that I can talk about, but really a lot happening.
Wow, that was a lot of things that I know separately, but put together, I don't understand that at all. So that's glad that you understand all of that. That's awesome. So that's really cool. So how can we follow you and, just kind of, keep track of Jyotsana? Everybody here who's watching or here listening to this, you can actually come into Entrennial University and get some mentor sessions with Jyotsana herself. She's actually going to be part of a mentor session here that's going to be broadcasted very soon. Really excited to have her there. But if, people aren't in Entrennial University, losing my tongue here, how can people follow you and just kind of keep tabs of what you're up to?
They can always follow WebZap's Facebook page, the website. We keep posting stuff. I also recently started a Facebook blog of sorts. So I have a page where it may not always be related to software and tech, but life in general. I like to post stuff, and that's what I do. So yeah, I have a Facebook page of my own. My company's got a page if you're really interested in core tech, but if you're interested in tech plus life, then that's my Facebook page.
Awesome. So everyone, I'll be putting that into the Facebook Live link, as well as the email that'll be going out to this, as well as the YouTube channel. So you will be able to find Jyotsana everywhere. So don't worry, you can definitely connect with her. But, I have a curious question, and it's more of a software question, looking into the future. So, you may have heard of the movie Ready Player One. It's that virtual reality movie. It's a kid that jumps into like a world that everybody's in the virtual reality world and they're communicating with each other. And, when I watched that film, it really brought on a lot of questions. And, I saw that you spoke on augmented reality and virtual reality. So I totally see you as the expert in this area. What do you see as the future for not only small businesses, but medium businesses on virtual reality and bringing that into their practices?
I think that, and I've said this before in an interview, I'd say it again because this is what I believe. AR and VR really are currently they're more like it's slowly changing, but they're currently more like novelties. So it's something, a good experience in augmented or virtual reality is something that you'd see in a trade show. It's more like an experience that you'd see in a trade show or a high-end demonstration. So I think that, in the future, I see it coming out of that, and AR and VR will be in the home where you could really experience good AR and VR, play really great games, and that's I think already happening. But in the future, I see it more like an in-the-home technology, like maybe like the internet that we have today, which we never thought of. We never thought we'd had such high-speed internet and smartphones that are literally like everything in our world compressed into your handset. So I think I see it's got a great potential, and I see we are slowly creeping into a world in a positive way in that manner.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm starting to see it even in the corporate side, right? So, when it comes to human resources, onboarding teams and actually doing training through virtual reality. and all those kind of stuff. Actually, last week we had Greg Jameson on the show about influencer marketing, and he was heading to Hawaii. I think he's there this week for his daughter's wedding. And Jurassic Park was filmed in Hawaii at this certain location he's going to be at. And I told him, I was like, you better go to Facebook and get the augmented reality dinosaur and like just put it up there while your daughter's getting married next to a velociraptor. Like that would be awesome. So, I really appreciate, kind of like the fun that augmented and virtual reality, not only in the business world, like human resources, but also in the playful world. And I think it's really cool that you're kind of part of that. You're helping things move forward, but also some play at the same time. And I think that's really important.
And the best part is that this kind of tech is coming out of the play world, so it's going beyond education and playing, and it's finding its way into the way companies really market themselves and really, as you said, train their employees and other applications, which is kind of exciting because as long as something stays in the gaming world, it kind of becomes a gimmick, and when it comes out of that and becomes more mainstream is when people start taking it more seriously. So we're seeing.
I mean, come on! If you can play a game at home and then you can go to work and play a game, yeah, right. Absolutely, let's make it more fun, and it's really all about engagement, right? And making sure that your customers that you're servicing is engaged with you. So there's the last question I'm going to ask you for today. When we're building our companies and we're really wanting to be industry leaders, we're built that trust with our clientele, like we've established in this conversation today. What helps your company keep your customers very engaged with you in a positive manner?
I think that it's the service that we give them. So the next time they need something, they come back to us, not because we built a bad product the last time and they have complaints, but because they need something else, and we would be their trusted provider. With so many innovative and amazing tech companies popping out every day with amazing founders and an amazing set of teams, I think that customer retention is really is a testament to the fact that you're doing good work for them.
Absolutely. Hear that, guys? Just have the awesome purpose in the company, build the foundation, and make sure you're serving your customers to what they deserve. Build the trust with your customers as well as your team. Such amazing, not only mic drops, but like takeaways that not only our Entrennials, but our audience here can definitely take away to implement in their business. Thank you so much for joining us on Entrennial Talks, Jyotsana. We really appreciated you being here.
It was an absolute pleasure. I am melting down at the amount of praise you've given me. And I honestly tell you, I gotta be better.
Well, Jyotsana, you are awesome. So please own it. You're amazing. And thank you so much. We are so lucky to have you as a mentor in Entrennial University. If no one here on the cast knows what Entrennial University is, you can actually pop into some of our live shows and the hot seat that's coming up, or excuse me, the mentor session where Jyotsana is actually going to be on a panel of mentors helping a millennial entrepreneur succeed in their business. I am so excited to see what you're going to be bringing to the table. It's going to be like mind-blowing. So guys, thank you so much for joining us on Entrennial Talks. And we will be back live actually on Tuesday with Kyle Brost. So tune in then. We're going to be talking about strategic leadership and how you can become more of a responder rather than a reactor. All right, guys, thank you so much. And this ends Entrennial Talks. We'll see you next time.